So, we're getting a new Fast and the Furious movie this month, and in honor of that, we're going to start reviewing the Fast and the Furious movies. What? I don't have any of the Fast and Furious movies?
No.
Well then, what's behind here? Oh. Oh, we're doing that movie.
No.
The one with Patrick Swayze and a bunch of semi-trucks. Okay. Alright. Alright. We'll go with Black Dog. Okay, so before Universal Pictures got into the whole deal with fast cars and Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, there was another movie that came out, I think, before the original Fast and the Furious. This movie was one of Patrick Swayze's final movies before he tragically passed away, and he stars as Jack Cruz, a person who has a very checkered past with prison.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Getting put in prison for a charge that is a bit questionable. His house is going for foreclosure. He doesn't know what to do with his family. He can't drive a truck because his driving license has been revoked due to his years in prison. Well, it turns out that there's this client that needs a mysterious shipment, needing to be brought up from Atlanta to New Jersey. At the same time, there's a subplot about the ATL and the FBI working together to try and stop illegal gun trafficking of illegal firearms such as AK-47s and a bunch of other stuff. And I gotta tell you, this movie is very, very, very over the top. From the beginning scene of this movie, you can tell already how over the top it's going to get. I mean, granted, while it doesn't go as over the top as, say, like Fast and the Furious 7 does, this movie, from the opening chase sequence between the FBI, the ATL, and this truck driver who has all these crates in the back, it turns into such nonsense before the title credits begin, and it's crazy the amount of like stunts that they do with these semi trucks. It really is. Like there's some sequences in this film that don't make a lot of sense. Like here's one right here. This comes actually at the end of the film, so yeah, spoilers. But this comes at the end of the film. So let's start with the cast. Who stars in this movie? So we have Patrick Swayze, country music artist Randy Travis, and Bat Out of Hell, Meatloaf. Let me repeat. Patrick Swayze, Randy Travis, and Meatloaf. Those are the main three actors we're playing with here. Look, I'm not gonna lie, the acting in this movie can be a bit poor, but it can also be a bit funny. I think Red, played by Meatloaf, is one of the most hammy performances I've seen in a film ever. It's hilarious how unacting he does, but yet at the same time he gives these weird line deliveries. Like his character in this movie is like this sort of Southern Baptist sort of character that's like very religious in what he does, and he quotes the Bible every like 10 minutes. But the only thing I had a problem with the character throughout this whole movie is why would he want to purposely sabotage a shipment of illegal weapons when he already knew what's in it? Did he have some sort of connection with another group that needed the weapons? There's, like, seriously, this movie is so short that they probably could have added a scene in this where it would have explained why he was going after Jack. Because it made it apparent at the beginning when he first met him that, you know, he's perfectly fine with him taking the shipment. But, like, 30 minutes in, he's like, nope, 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 I'm going to turn into the defuncto bad guy of this main film. And granted, there is a second bad guy in this one, and it's obviously made apparent when Jack gets the first job. And so, essentially, it gets into this sort of like goose chase from Atlanta to New Jersey, where Jack's trying to avoid Red's group as well as the FBI and ATL. And Jack works with three other people. Randy Travis's character, Earl, Sonny, and Wes, I think his name was. Two of them are actually secret agents for either the FBI or Red, the character Red. And it's it's kind of an interesting sort of thing where, like, you know, they're trying to track the tracking of like illegal weapons by having people going undercover in the trucking industry. It's just weird. All right, this movie's weird. Let's talk about Patrick Swayze in this film. I could barely believe anything that he was saying. I mean, granted, he's a little bit of a gruff character. He has a gruff character sort of arc in this film. But in terms of Patrick Swayze, it gives Roadhouse a run for its money. I mean, come on, Patrick Swayze has always been the most hammiest, almost kind of tender sort of performance. You know, like there's this family dinner scene before he leaves on the road to Atlanta, and you know it's this nice little dinner scene with his family that kind of makes him a little bit more likable, a likable character. Randy Travis's character is this guy who runs with trucks, but he's also a songwriter. Yeah, that's pretty much all he is. He's a songwriter on his spare time, and he's also a truck driving manufacturer guy, some person like that. There is a legend in this film that gets tossed around often, and it's also the name of this movie, called Black Dog. And what it essentially is that, you know, when you're on the road for a long time, you know, there's this dog that appears, this black dog that appears when you are tired and grumbly, and, you know, like you've been on the road, you haven't slept, and he appears. And that's also the cause of Jack's prison sentence, is that when he saw the black dog, he turned to the side of the road and killed some people in manslaughter. Now, I actually looked up the actual federal sort of sentencing rules with manslaughter. In this case, it would be 10 years in prison. How many years does Jack get? 2 years.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Now, granted, I'm aware maybe laws do change over time, but if it was set in today, he'd be getting 10 years instead of 2. Now, let's talk about the soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack for this film is pretty much the same thing as Suicide Squad. To be fully honest with you, every scene has to have a popular country music song in almost every scene. I am not kidding you. This gives Suicide Squad a run for its money in terms of how many songs they could put in to one film. It's honestly hilarious to see and listen to it. It's very funny. You know, there is some good action sequences in this film, definitely. You know, one of the best ones that is kind of a ripoff of Raiders of the Lost Ark is when Jack has to fight this guy between the truck and the trailer, and it's like the guy is just like shoving Patrick Swayze's head down to the tire, you know, like this is sort of tension building. There's not too much tension building in this film, but that was probably my favorite sequence out of the entire movie. While I won't say that this film is a good film, because it definitely has a lot of aspects that's really, really dumb and over the top, but it's so damn entertaining. If you ever want to like see a movie that's so over the top, like that it would give Fast and the Furious some sort of like jealousy cause, Black Dog is definitely the movie for you. And so with that, I'm gonna give Black Dog a 7 out of 10. It is probably one of the most underrated films, and I used to see it a lot when I was a child, but growing up and having seen it again, it definitely doesn't hold up a lot, but it's like, it's very hilarious. It's a very sort of so bad it's good type film, but it's also kind of entertaining just to like shut your mind off for a bit and just enjoy it. But yeah, if you want to see a really goofy movie, Black Dog is definitely for you. And until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.